Hello, everybody. George Welsh, Superintendent of Schools here once again. And today I have a cadre of grades 6 through 8, and actually grade 5 through 8, and actually some grade K through 8 administrators for our school district. And the purpose of this session is to share with you what's going to be happening for middle school age students as far as instruction for the next set of weeks, possibly for the rest of the school year. Since the last time I actually interviewed a principal, Governor Polis made an announcement, basically a stay-at-home declaration. And I know at first that had a lot of people panicked about how will this impact my child's learning, because there may be some things I still need for my child to move forward with learning. And the answer with that is part of the declaration said that people are welcome to move about freely in order to get things that are related to their child's education. And key to that for some of you may be making sure you get your child's Chromebook or electronic device that they're going to use for distance learning. But we're also going to be talking about securing band instruments, because we want our kids in music still to be able to practice, or some general supplies from school in order to do this. And the focus of this session once again is going to be really on the middle school grades and what that looks like. So Kelly Albrecht, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. You're the principal of Cañon Exploratory School. What's the plan there for middle school?
You're talking about with the instrument, with the band
with general instruction.
Okay, with general instruction. Well, today's Thursday, and we had our soft start this morning and we are working with our 5th through 8th grade students. So since we're the unusual school in the district where we have our 5th and 6th graders in a classroom together, and we have our 6th graders in kind of the elementary portion of our school, we did decide that we were going to count them all as secondary. So for my school, 5th through 8th grade is doing and they all have their Chromebooks, so they're doing the distance learning or the e-learning. And they all started this morning with their soft start, got on with their teachers. And as far as I know, it went really well. Starting next week, they'll be on a regular schedule, and each of the teachers have communicated out to them what that will look like. That includes their electives teachers, and they have their times to meet with all of them and to access their education and direct instruction. We are also distributing some band instruments, but we're doing it differently than probably the other schools because we only had a few students who needed their instruments. And so our music teacher has communicated that with her students, and she's planning on meeting them on Saturday to get those picked up.
Great. And once again, to parents, that's something that's allowed. So don't be concerned about leaving your house for doing that. And by the way, I can vouch for at least the 7th and 8th grade today. I happen to live with a person who teaches 7th and 8th grade for Cañon Exploratory School. She said she was pleasantly pleased with the participation of students. I'm going to move to Mr. Oliver. Jesse Oliver is the principal of Cañon City Middle School. What's been going on there?
Well, I think the first thing I'd like to do is just give a big thank you to all the staff that have been helping out at the building. We spent the better part of spring break and the Monday and Tuesday building the instructional schedule that we published last night on Facebook, and that the district has shared as well on their Facebook pages and social media. That took a lot of work from team leaders and teachers all the way, and even the classified staff's been doing an amazing job giving input into that, as well as they've been in there today cleaning out lockers for kiddos and gathering band instruments and all those kind of things. So very appreciative of that. In terms of our instructional schedule, it's going to look pretty much the same for grades 6 through 8 for core classes, English, science, social studies, and math. You're all going to have those classes on Mondays. So you'll have them beginning at 8:30 and they'll run through about 10:30. 8th grade, you will have your 5th core after lunch in the afternoon. And then life skills classes are going to be run for the 6th grade on Tuesday, 7th grade on Wednesday, and the 8th grade on Thursday. One thing that's important to notice for kids and parents on our schedule is our teachers have committed to office hours Monday through Thursday. And that's going to run from 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And the purpose of that really is the teachers will, they're going to be available to you either via Google Hangout or by email. If you guys have got a question, that's going to be a chunk of time where they should be there and available to talk with you right then, and you won't have to work on a delay if you've got a question that you need to get answered. So again, grades 6 through 8 core classes will all run on Monday. Life skills will run 6th grade Tuesday, 7th grade Wednesday, and 8th grade on Thursday. So that's the instructional schedule that we've built for our kiddos right now.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you what like a week in the life of a middle schooler looks like pretty soon for each of your schools, and you'll be able to tell me about, because what you're describing is a situation where there's seems like there's one day of instruction, but there's actually more to it because there's going to be some project work and some interaction with teachers throughout the rest of the week. So I'd like to get parents to understand that. Mrs. Autobee, what's things looking like there at Harrison?
Well, I'd like to echo what Mr. Oliver said. Our teachers as well have been working so hard to prepare for this amazing feat that we had in front of us. They were ready to roll as well this morning. And so they started with a soft start where they just got back in touch with their students and kind of talked about what the expectations were going to be, what the time periods were going to be like. And I've heard just nothing but positive things. The kids are excited to be back with their classmates in a virtual environment and back with their teachers in a virtual environment as well. Our classes are a little bit different than everybody else's. We decided to have our core classes on Mondays. So they'll meet Mondays for half-hour time periods, kind of in a live environment that the teachers, I believe, are going to be recording. And then they reserved Wednesdays also for core times. If they felt like another touch tone time needed to be had with their students. So they'll be letting the kids know, those core teachers will, if those Wednesdays are going to be required or optional for them. Life skills for 6th grade will take place on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7th and 8th grade will have their life skill times. Office hours are interspersed throughout those times, and the classroom teachers will be letting the kids know when those are. And lots of, planning going on after those hours. So after the lunch period, planning times and meeting times for teachers will take place. So the majority of the time that kids will be in session will be from 8:30 to 12:20 each day, Monday through Thursday.
And I assume the rest of the time or at their flexibility, they can work on their learning projects and get feedback.
Right. Absolutely. The teachers will let them know that, if they have something that's expected to be turned in that day, it'll be expected to be done by 3:15 and submitted at the end of the day, which is our typical end time. If not, they'll let them know what day of the week that assignment or project might be due. And again, just lots of communication. I think it's been an easier lift for our middle school because many of our kids were already used to this sort of blended learning. Although we've gone completely online now, they're still trying to be as creative as they can. And one of our biggest conversations that we had with our middle school staff is, how do we balance the screen time for our kids? And so we're really trying to make sure that not all of the assignments are on the screen, but there's a good balance of both paper, pencil, or more project-based, and then some electronic assignments. So hopefully parents will be able to see that at home.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in terms of the week in the life of a middle school student. So, Mrs. Sartori, how's things going at Mountain View Core Knowledge for this?
We're doing well. I think the progress from Monday until today has been impressive. Our teachers have just worked so hard, as well as our instructional aides and our support staff, to really facilitate not only organizing the schedule, a lot of PLC team meetings, and working with our special education staff through the school district as well to just arrange times that we could be making sure that we're meeting student needs, while also finding that balance between, the online learning, the screen time, and some projects and some hands-on activities as well. Our schedule is essentially, it's going to be a Monday and Thursday time to actually, be connecting through e-learning with their teachers through the Google Hangouts. And
like this, right? Just like this, right? Just like this.
Yes. Monday, we will be, really giving out actually on every Thursday by 3:00, the students will get a notification for what's up and coming the following week, so that if they have to collect supplies or gather materials, if they're doing projects, whatever it might be, they have a little time to do that. And Monday, they will be given core instruction. And we launched that today with a soft start. And it was really good to see almost every kid showed up to those group chats, and we were able to pinpoint some problems with the kiddos who weren't able to get on. So it was nice that we did that today so that we could hit the ground running on Monday with the instruction. Tuesday and Wednesday is really a day to work on the assigned work, and also they have the ability to contact their teachers at any time during the school day. Thursday is a time to wrap it up and make sure that everyone got done what they needed to get done, another check-in, and some more instructional time online. So today we actually handed out from 9 to noon, we handed out all of our materials, our Chromebooks that we needed to get out to kids and that didn't have them. Our middle schoolers mostly had them, so it was a lot of elementary. We actually did drop off medications, and that went very smoothly. And so we thank our parents for being so gracious, and it was nice to hear about people waving from the car, and even some emotional moments with our staff and our students just already feeling that missing each other and feeling that absence. And so, I think our instructional team is going to come out even stronger than they already are at the end of this social experiment or whatever it might be, because we've pushed outside of comfort zones. We're going to continue to do that. We've stretched ourselves with technology that it may have taken us a lot longer to just dive into. And so I'm just proud of our staff. I'm proud of our team. And I'm so thankful for our parents who've been more than supportive in what we're going through. And we understand it's not easy for parents either.
Yeah, not easy for anyone, I'm sure. And I would echo several things that you said. First of all, what our staffs have done to step up in a very short period of time. I mean, they've literally just retooled our whole education delivery system in 2.5 days, basically. That sadness that you probably felt today when kids were coming up and picking up their materials. What I've seen, however, is it gets flipped when you get into a Google Hangout situation where kids are in a class. If you've gotten to observe any of them yet, those kids are just glad to see each other, and if there's no other reason to hold some full class Google Hangout sessions, it's so that the kids can interact together, and they'll be smart enough to start figuring out they can schedule some maybe social time Google Hangouts as well, because they need to be socially distanced, or really physically distanced, but not so much socially distanced where they can't interact with other people. So I'm going to just throw out a question, and any of you comfortable answering this, just chime in. So I'm thinking, I'm a parent of a middle school student. What's my kid's typical day or week going to look like if they attend your school?
I think CCMS, if you've got a kiddo in our building, your kids are going to have direct instruction, what we're going to call live instruction via Google Hangouts, 4 days a week. Cores on Mondays, life skills on other days. And then the days where they're not live, your kiddos are going to have lessons in Schoology that they're going to log in and need to complete every single day for all of their classes. The lessons we're trying to manage so that we're balancing screen time, like Miss Autobee said, with the time to get up and be moving around. We don't have the transitions in the hallways where they run around, but there will be stuff for them to do on a daily basis. There's going to be tasks and and some time to chat with their friends as well as with the counselors. There'll be counseling staff available and time to chat with their teachers. So that's what a week's going to look like if I'm a middle school kiddo.
Great.
Yeah, and I would say that's true for CES as well. Their morning time will be more of that time in front of a computer. They might be in and out of some smaller groups, particularly in 5th and 6th grade, where they're conferencing with their teachers through Google Hangouts in a small group or even individually. And then, of course, since we're project-based, then we're really going to lean on the projects once we get to the point where we feel like we can do that more. We're still trying to feel our way in just delivering it from a distance, too. So I think it could change a little bit as we go, but we really do want to make sure that they're wanting to be participating in their education and still continue to be student driven. And I just wanted to add, because I didn't before, it has been very impressive to see what teachers have done, as well as how gracious and appreciative parents have been. Mm-hmm. And their patience along the way has been very nice to see, that they recognize that we're doing everything we can, and we really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I think I'll reiterate just at Mountain View, the online live instruction will be Mondays and Thursdays with, again, check-in requirements at the other days of the week and work assigned. There will be small group intervention times planned by individual teachers and support staff as well. If your student is in any special program, special education, therapy, speech therapy, or gifted and talented, those services will also be delivered via Google Hangouts, and our teachers are busy really trying to refine that so that they can hit the ground running next week and make sure that all of our kids are getting their hours met and their needs met. Our counselors already been doing face-to-face meetings with a lot of our kids, and we've been doing some checking in just to make sure that our families also have their basic needs met, because we know this is such a challenging time for our staff, for our families. We know if people have lost jobs or they're concerned about sick family members, or maybe even not having basic supplies, that we need to be able to help provide resources for that. So we're also asking families to reach out and let us know if they need help with something. We will do our best to reach out to the community to provide those supports ourselves and just make sure that all of our kids are taken care of during this time.
Yeah, we will provide counseling services same way, and it'll look a lot like this. It could be even group counseling, but definitely one-to-one. Mrs. Autobee, any last things to add there?
No, I'm glad that Mrs. Sartori talked about the interventions and the special education services or other types of services that our students might get. Our special ed teachers are very, very concerned about how they're going to continue services. And so they've been collaborating with our general education teachers, and they're going to be supporting during those Google Hangout times as well. But then also during office hours, they'll be available to support the students as needed. They are going to be making special effort to contact those students directly and schedule time with them so that they can help them through their assignments or answer any questions that they might have. Our paraprofessionals are equally as involved, and especially at the middle school level right now, they are assigned to specific grade levels to be able to support those students. And so, yeah, class in the morning, online live class through Google Hangouts, and then time throughout the week or later in the day to work on their assignments.
Great.
So, yeah.
So my next question was actually going to be like, what will a typical day look like for a student? But I'm going to try to turn this around. I'm sorry, rather it was going to be what responsibilities would students have? I'm going to turn it around because I think from hearing each of you, I could answer the question now. And the answer is I need to be aware of my schedule. And there's going to be times in every school for a student. There's going to be times at which I have to be on, or I'm supposed to be on, for a live chat session with my teacher. Mr. Oliver referred to that perhaps as direct instruction, where my teacher may teach a lesson. So that's one responsibility I have. And safe to say we all agree that these are unusual times, and there could be illness, there could be family crisis going on, and at some point I may not make it to one of those sessions. And sort of a nice thing that I think we have going on is that just like we're recording this session, our teachers can record those direct instruction sessions, and a student would be able to actually follow a link and go back and watch one if they missed it. So that's number one. And then number two, it's really about completing assignments. In whatever learning management system you're using at your school, most of you probably, it's going to be Schoology, that my child will have an assignment, a task to do, a project to complete, and the teacher, as they've been doing all year anyway, will be offering my child feedback about their work. Any chances my child is going to get to work with a group of students, with a group of their peers?
Absolutely. That's something we've definitely talked about is just like we are doing right now. Why can't they work in a small group with kids? I think technology is kind of opening up this new world for us. And I think that we all have learned this last week that we can collaborate together very, very well on the computer or via Google Hangouts. And so our kids will be asked to do the same thing and allowed to work that way together.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I just want to also say that as much as we've come to probably appreciate technology more than ever this week, we know that technology has flukes sometimes. Sometimes the internet goes down, or your home connection.
Well, your face freezes on the screen. I can't wait to see it on the video, right?
Yeah. That could happen on a student side, and that could happen on a teacher's side. And we just ask that we communicate with each other. If something falls off and you're unable to connect with your teacher, just send them an email later on or give them a call and let them know, hey, I couldn't get on. What do I need to do? Can I access that recorded video? We are going to assume the best of our students, and we ask the same, for our teachers. And so through that, I think just communicating and keeping those lines open so that we can make sure that everyone is staying connected the best that we can. And yes, they will be able to work together through Google Chats.
And that brings me to the next question, which is just how important the technology, and specifically the Chromebook, that thanks to our community's yes vote on question 3A back in 2017, has enabled us to be ready to do this. We would not have been able to do this otherwise if that were not the case. I guess my question to you is if the Chromebook goes down or the internet access at the house goes down, not so much short term as you just described, Mrs. Sartori, but long term, what are some options kids might have as best you're aware?
I think it'll be a challenge, but we have already hand-delivered materials, setting them on porches if we need to our students. Teachers are the masters of creative planning and thinking, and so sometimes even just texting it to a phone and using a scanner download to be able to scan materials back. We've brainstormed a lot of ideas around what to do if the technology does go down, or how will we operate if it's not a thing at all, say for elementary. So at this point, we do plan on being 100% online, but if something should happen longer term than just a day, we will problem solve that. We'll work with individual families to make sure that the kids are getting what they need.
I'd also like to add to make sure that parents write this number down. This is our instructional technology helpline for students and parents. And I actually put it on my wall because I knew I would have to refer to it for my parents and students. So I'm going to read it to you now, parents. It is 719-276-5808. Again, that's 276-5808. Use that number and reach out to our IT specialists if you need some help with things that might be working so well for you.
And so what happens sometimes is, and it happens during the school year, is a Chromebook goes down. It's just not functional. And what we typically do is we have what we call as a pinch hitter, and we have our tech staff will be able to go to your house and swap out machines, take your child's Chromebook and take it in for repair, diagnosis and repair, and hand you something to work with in the meantime. And if you happen to have laptop computer at home that can run the Chrome operating system, the web browser, then you've got a Chromebook at home, and your child can move forward with that. And thanks for sharing that phone number. And for folks who follow us on our social media, earlier today, I actually posted an image that has an email you can reach us at, a single email that where all questions are parceled out to where they need to go, and that technology hotline highlighted in yellow. So hopefully you've seen that. Here's a real big question now. I've got an 8th grader, and the excitement for an 8th grader is I'm getting ready to move on to high school, or any kid in any grade. How are you going to determine whether a kid moves on to the next grade level next year? What's the plan considering this change in instruction?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Welsh. I think we're going to take a look at what we've accomplished quarter 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to take a look at what we're accomplishing here. It is important for parents and students to know that this is still instruction. It does count. It's not an option, and so the lessons that your students are going to be receiving and the assignments they'll be completing will be graded, and they will be put in, and they will be counting towards going to high school next year. Mr. Summers and his staff is looking forward to recommendations that all of the buildings are going to make in terms of what kiddos move on and what kiddos are going to need a little more support. Kiddos that are in credit recovery, it will still be an option that we have. We still have that process running through the middle school here. And if your students are in that already, they will still be receiving support. But we're going to look at the whole body of work that kids are doing. But it is important that parents and students understand that this is not a time where we can just not participate, because this does count, and it will count towards your movement towards the high school next year if you're an 8th grader.
Well, and that's not just true for the 8th graders. That's true for all of them. They in order to go into that next grade, this work counts that they're doing now.
Yeah, all grades. Good catch. Thank you. 6th and 7th graders, you as well are required to do this.
I asked the 4 question. I kind of focused on 8th grade, but it's even when you get down to 2nd grade, and we'll talk about that with some principals next week.
At Mountain View, you could, if you're following Infinite Campus already, you could expect for grades to be entered weekly, just as you've always expected to track those grades. So I encourage you to, look at your students' grades once a week. Make sure that they are keeping up with what they need to keep up with. We also are counting this as a real school. We're doing our best to provide high quality instruction that's directly aligned to our core knowledge curriculum, as well as the state standards, and teachers are working really hard to make sure that the work that they're giving is absolutely aligned to what we would be doing in school. It just looks a lot different, of course, and so do take those assignments seriously. And again, parents continue to use IC, because we'll continue to enter grades on a weekly basis.
Sounds good. So my next question, and actually sort of a statement I would like to say here. So every year we have some kids who don't get to go on to the next grade level because of performance issues, right? Or maybe social issues, or it's the right decision to have them repeat a grade. Can happen this year the same as any year. Just because we've changed our mode of instruction doesn't mean you've got a free pass to the next grade level. You've got to earn your way there. And so students, especially if you're hearing me, work hard, or we're going to hold you accountable on that end. So one of really the best things about brick and mortar school are the clubs, the social events you get to have, and of course, perhaps the highlight of the middle school year for 8th graders is that continuation ceremony. And so what everyone's been asking me is, what's going to happen with these things? Anyone want to chime in as to what your thoughts are?
I think for CCMS, we still have everything planned at the moment. We have not officially canceled continuation to the 8th grade because we don't know where we're going to be at the end of May in terms of this. Whether we end up coming back to school this year or not, if we can gather in large spaces, then that'll be something that we take a look at, or large groups that we take a look at in that scenario. So that's a bridge that we're kind of waiting to cross until we get a little further down the road in terms of making an official cancellation or official decision on that. So as it stands, things are as they were, and we'll cross that bridge when we know a little more information towards the beginning or middle of May.
Yeah. That's our plan at Harrison as well. We're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. Whatever we do, it'll be special for kids. It may look a little different, but we'll try to make sure that we honor those students who have made it that far in some sort of fashion if we can't get back into the school.
And here's the thing. We're in the same boat. We're not canceling anything right now, and there's nothing that says we can't do a continuation celebration in July or August or whenever we have the opportunity to come together if we do want to celebrate in the same way that we always do, which is always very special and a sentimental time, especially after being at Mountain View from preschool through 8th grade for some of these kiddos and going on to the big pond. So as we get closer to those days, we'll make determinations and put out information. But for right now, just like Mr. Oliver says, we're going to assume that we may get to continue to keep the plan for end of May.
Yes, and that would be true for us as well. The one thing that is a bit different for us is a big part of what we do is our field trips, and we're having to cancel those. We had like, not for just our middle school, but for our whole school, like 4 this week, I think, that we're supposed to go out. So we're going to be looking at maybe trying to do some virtual field trips or something like that they can do somehow as a group. We'll have to get creative with that. But in terms of that end of the year stuff, we're in the same place as everyone else, and just fingers crossed that we'll get to celebrate all together.
Well, all I can tell you is if you've been on social media for even 20 minutes, you can't scroll through without finding something like the Metropolitan Museum of Art opening up their whole collection, Broadway shows to be seen on a nightly basis, and things like that. So hopefully our kids will take advantage of some of that, and especially hopefully our teachers will do that in a coordinated fashion, and that would be fantastic. So one thing that I fear a little bit about is, I think my prime babysitting career was when I was a middle schooler, because I was the youngest in my family, but apparently I was mature enough to take care of other little kids. And I'm going to assume that we're going to have a number of kids in our system who will be doing some double duty. They'll be expected to do this classwork, and they may be expected to be taking care of the younger siblings. Just any thoughts about that and how parents might navigate that?
I think what our parents and what our teachers would ask for is just communicate with your teachers, guys. Let them know what's going on. Let them know if you've got an event. Let them know if you've got to take care of a family member, brother, sister, whoever it may be. Like Mr. Welsh said, we do have the ability to record these, and our teachers are going to record those live sessions. So if you need to go back and see that later because you're taking care of some situation or helping babysit at a time, communicate with your teachers. Let them know, and they will work with you to do that. They're going to do their best to make sure that you can still get the instruction and take care of all the things at home. So just let us know.
I think we're more connected than ever before in terms of just having open access to, contacting the teachers in the school. And so I think I want to ditto what Mr. Oliver is saying there. And I think we're also recognizing that life is different for everyone right now. And some of you might be working different schedules and shifts. And so not only may your children be watching younger kids, they might not be able to be at home at certain times. So that's why we've built all of that into what we're planning so that it is available at different times. But if a teacher doesn't know they don't know. So making sure that you email, phone call, whatever it is that you can do to communicate. I think even a lot of my teachers have given out their cell phone numbers, their personal cell phone numbers, and said, I'm available this time to this time. So please take advantage. Don't take advantage of teachers, but no, take
We
advantage
do
of
take
that.
advantage of it because they wouldn't give that to you if they weren't comfortable with communicating.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
What I would also add to parents is take advantage of that. If you have a middle schooler, they're a little bit more advanced on the technology. And so now if you have a fourth grader, a second grader, something like that, who's trying to do some digital learning, your child will learn so much more by having to teach your other child. And I get how that works in a whole sibling situation. That could become war. I've been there. I've got 4 myself. But I would encourage you all to take advantage of that opportunity because you got a built-in tutor at home for those younger kids. And that'll just bolster your middle school child's education if they get to do a little bit of tutoring and instruction themselves. Last question before asking if you guys want to chime in on just anything else in general. Karen, for example, Mrs. Sartori, you explained that your materials have already been passed out today for the most part. There might be a few stragglers. You're still going to get some too.
Absolutely. I think the bulk of parents were able to make it work today and pick up what they needed. But if we miss someone for any reason, all we ask is that you contact us and we will make a home delivery or meet you at the school if we need to. We'll do what it takes to get the materials and supplies to your child that they need. And speaking of supplies, sometimes you have found yourself at home landing in a homeschool position without basic supplies at home. And if you have a financial need or, a concern about making sure your child has what they need to be successful, please reach out to us because we do have resources that we could help make sure that you get what you need as well.
It's a great offer. Mrs. Albrecht, what's the plan for Cañon Exploratory School for distribution?
For the most part, everything has been distributed. Actually, our kids took a lot of that home before the spring break in anticipation of a possible closure, at least for our 7th and 8th graders. Our 5th and 6th graders, everything has been distributed. And I think I've only heard from maybe 2 or 3 kids that haven't gotten their things yet. So we are distributing devices for our 1st through 4th graders next Monday and Tuesday at 11 to 12 and 4 to 5. And so any of those students who are in 5th on up that haven't picked up their things yet, they can come at that time to pick it up. Or certainly, like Mrs. Sartori said, contact me or their teachers and let us know, and we'd be happy to we've made a few home deliveries already this week. And then also we do have our music teacher. She's having to spend some time with her family in Denver because of all of this. And so she's making a trip down on Saturday to distribute the remainder of the band instruments. So that would be another time that kids could pick up what they need if they make those arrangements. But I think we've done a great job at getting stuff out.
Great. Mrs. Autobee.
So our campus is so large and our classrooms are so spread out that we decided that the best way to distribute materials would be for a team of us. I'm calling us the Friday team. The Friday team is going in tomorrow, Friday, and we'll be clearing out all of the desks of our kindergarten through 5th grade students and gathering up all of their supplies so that we'll have those ready to take home. We'll also be sending home. A lot of our parents have been asking about their pictures that they took and the class pictures. So those will be available for distribution as well Monday and Tuesday. And I'll let you know those times. Band instruments as well for our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are in band. Those will be distributed. What else are we? And Chromebooks for K-5. And I just want to make sure that parents know that any K-5 student is available to get one of these. Now, if you have a laptop or something at home that works, great. You don't have to take one of our Chromebooks, but you sure are able to do that. What we do want to make sure you get is all the password information to get into the students' accounts. And so we'll have papers to be able to show you that as well. So
once again, if you have a middle school student, they'll be able to take the kid right through it, right?
Exactly.
Because they've been there.
And even our kindergartners are so used to getting into their Google classrooms. They were showing me a couple weeks ago what it was all about. So in their tech class, our distribution of materials is going to be Monday and Tuesday of next week. Both days it'll be 10 to 1 and then 3 to 6. So 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday and Tuesday. There has been some question because Harrison is such a central location and such a large campus. The county health department has determined that that's where they're going to hold the mobile testing site for the COVID-19 virus. I want to assure all of the families, our entire community, that our families will be safe. They're going to reserve the south parking lot, which would be the elementary part of the parking lot, front of the building, if you will, for that COVID testing. Our distribution for our materials are going to happen on the west side of the building. So that's where the middle school drop off and pickup area is. We'll just ask for our parents to stay in their cars and we'll take that information, all those materials to you. Medication distribution will be a little bit different. Parents will have to come up to that table way on that side and sign for the medication. But, we'll work that out. And then food distribution is also going to be taking place in our building. So that will be
2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Bring it on. Bring it on. The more the merrier. We're used to large crowds anyway. So that will be happening in the west parking lot. So lots of different places. What I just ask our community is just pay attention to the signs, cooperate with everybody who's trying to direct traffic and just be patient. It's going to be busy. We have a very large population, and I think there's going to be a lot of interest in what's going on Monday in our parking lot. So I think the biggest issue that we'll have is the press. I'm assuming the press is going to be there. So wash your car.
Look for the people with the orange vests. They'll point you.
Look for us in the orange vests, and we'll just be so glad to see our kids and wave to them from afar. So,
Mr. Oliver, what do you guys have planned?
So for us, medications have been distributed. Our health tech was in the building at the start of the week, and she got those back to families. Ms. Richardson started to distribute band instruments today, I believe, for the 8th graders. And we are also starting the process of getting all of the kids' stuff from all the lockers. And what we're going to do, because like Ms. Albrecht said, a lot of kiddos cleaned stuff out before they left in terms of a closure. So we will be contacting families. If you have something that your kiddo needs to come to the building and pick up, you will be contacted directly by somebody from the middle school, and we'll give you a chunk of time, either Tuesday or Wednesday, between 10 and 2. And what we're going to ask people to do is pull up in the bus lane, stay in your cars to limit everyone's contact. And we will go then retrieve your students' belongings and bring it out to the car so that you have it. And then hopefully we'll be clear of everything going. One thing we're going to try to do is, because our fundraiser was just supposed to finish on Monday. If your kids have fundraising packets, we will be accepting those when you come to pick things up. So, or if you've got to drop a wrestling uniform or something like that off. But again, you will be contacted by the school if we've got something that we need to get back to your kiddos. So everybody should have Chromebooks. That should have been taken care of as of yesterday. Medications are done, and the rest of it is just getting personal belongings, band instruments, etc., back to kiddos.
So I'm going to start wrapping it up, and I will give you guys a chance to just chime in with one more thing, but there's a few things I feel I need to say. And my first thing is thank you. last week was supposed to be spring break for our building leaders, and it wasn't. You guys were engaged wherever you were engaged from the beginning of the week to the end of the week as we started seeing this thing unfold. And 23 years as a superintendent of schools, I've never seen the rules change so often, and folks have to just be so agile, I guess, is what I would say. And agility is one of our traits that we're teaching people to do. And boy, are we modeling it. And so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you as leaders of these buildings. And I know what you would do is you just pass it on to the great people you have working for you who are teaching, who are getting this thing going. So I appreciate that. Number two is parents, stay involved with what your kids are doing. Preferably the whole time, but for sure in the first couple of weeks, because we're going to be sending a survey out to both kids and to parents to ask how we're doing. We want to know if it's too easy, if it's too hard, if it's not relevant enough, if there's some things we might do to improve what we're doing, because we've created this from the ground up, and we need your feedback. And we promise when we get that feedback, we'll share it internally, and we'll make adjustments to make sure we're meeting you and your child's needs. And Mrs. Autobee referenced that we deliver meals to children every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday will be our third take at it. Monday, we delivered 1,000 meals. Tuesday, close to 2,000 meals. And what I'm telling you is we're doing everything we can as a school district to secure grants, supplies, materials, to continue to distribute these. You've been to some grocery stores and some of those shelves are empty. One thing you can guarantee, when your child is given 2 bags, they get 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and they're not the preference for everyone, packaged materials, but the good thing about that is those packaged materials will last beyond those few days they're given. So we encourage, and it doesn't matter if you qualify for free or reduced lunch. All you have to do is be a child or have a child anywhere from kindergarten to 18 years old. So please take advantage of that. A chance for everyone to offer just one last bit of a thought to our parents. And Mrs. Sartori, I'm going to go in reverse order. Can I start with you? Is that okay?
Absolutely. I just want to again thank our stakeholders and our students who are also just jumping on board and showing positive attitudes. Of course, we're asking for patience because we have developed what we think is going to work, a best laid plan, but we're going to continue to flex that and adjust as needed as we go through this process and as the trajectory changes, quite possibly. So stay in communication, stay in touch, know that we miss our entire student body. We miss each other as staff. And I think if we didn't believe so, which we did, that connectivity is the most important thing that we have as humans. We sure believe it now, and we just we thank you all, and we can't wait to all be together again. But until then, we're all doing our best, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Karen. Mrs. Autobee.
I echo Mrs. Sartori's sentiments. We love our kids. That's why we do what we do. And to not be with them, summer is hard enough. It's a hard enough break away from our kids. This is torturous to be away from them right now, and to be away from each other. So anytime we can connect is really positive for us. Please stay in communication with us. That is really, really important. One thing that I didn't get to add, however, is that we have not had a chance to even plan how we're going to get our middle school stuff to our middle school students. So unlike Mr. Oliver, we don't have lockers for our kids. What we have are what we call cubbies, and they're not often very well marked. So as soon as we can come up with a plan, we will get in there and get our students things and return them to parents. So be patient with us. We're not holding it hostage. Believe me, I'm sure you want to get it at home and get it cleaned. But we'll communicate that with you at a later time. If parents can just always keep in mind that the teachers are doing the very best that they can, and kudos to our parents at home and our families at home for what you're doing to help your students. But every once in a while, give that teacher a virtual pat on the back, if you will, because I think that would really help them to know that they are being appreciated as well.
And once again, one of our core beliefs is that we encourage people to take risks. And boy, what a risk is every teacher taking right now, and allowing people to take positive risks. And this is, considering the circumstances, a positive risk, is being patient when maybe sometimes they fall flat on their face. And we're going to do that a lot in the next 8 weeks. And we'll learn a lot from that, and we'll be better for it. Mr. Oliver.
I think I'd echo a lot of what's already been said. Communicate with your teachers, students, and parents. Communicate with administration. Communicate with your counselors. Let us know what's going on and how we can help you. We do miss you. We want to see you back in the building, or we want to see you move on to the high school next year. Be patient. This is a process that's going to take some learning from all ends. People have been working very hard, and it's going to continue to take that. So stay safe, stay healthy, and let us know what it is that we can do from our angle to help you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. And you get the last word, Mrs. Albrecht.
Well, I don't know what more there is to say. I think everyone else said it so well. We definitely are in uncharted waters and figuring it out as we go. But I think it's a great opportunity for our kids at our school to truly be the explorers that we want them to be, and explore some new ways of learning for themselves, and go into learning about something that maybe they haven't had the time to learn before, and take that initiative to do it themselves. And again, just keeping that open line of communication with their teachers and parents, if you will make sure that you're doing the same. And I love that idea of giving the teachers a virtual pat on the back, because I don't think they've slept much in the last week, trying to not only figure this out, but just their hearts are breaking. And sorry, and I'm getting emotional because I'm so proud of the work that they've done, and we just miss being in the building and finishing up the year, this best part of the year, except for the testing. But other than that,
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So thank you for your patience and for everything that you've done already.
It's hard to end on a better note than that. So Marnie, Kelly, Jesse, and Karen, thank you so much for all you've been doing. Please give a real pat on the back to those folks you eventually see. We're going to get to do that again. We're going to get to give hugs and thank them for all they've been doing. So thanks for chiming in and sharing this information with our community.
You bet.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mr. Welsh.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.